What's up, Pella, Virginia? We are back. We're going to do a breakdown of the retail sales team for Fantasy Sales Team 2021. We're going to go in depth and analyst draft preview on the 13, because we've got two combined into one, the 13 sellers that are going to be taking part as players, sellers in the draft, in this competition, in the next 8 weeks of craziness. Carl, this is your team. You probably got some good stuff to say.
Yes. Well, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm trying to kind of figure out the ranking system. I mean, it's so close, but I think I've broken it down into tiers. And so my first tier, I don't know what you think, but I think it's Dave, Chris, Leslie, and Josh in that top tier, where it's going to be tough to choose from on who's the top, and if there's much difference in between those four. What are your thoughts on those top four?
I agree. I got the same top four. So when I'm coming into this season, I'm thinking, all right, Leslie's going to be the number one overall retail pick. Slam dunk. She's having the best year out of everybody. She's number one in close, number one in yield. She's by far the highest ranked Richmond, Pella, Virginia rep in the President's Club ranking, having a killer year. She gets Google reviews. She still submits projects on her own. I mean, she does all this stuff. So I'm thinking that. And then Dave goes off in August and just destroys everyone. And I was like, oh God, now, Dave, who's always has a good end of the year, he's coming on strong right now. So I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe Dave's the better Duncan. And then there's Chris. Like, Chris is not having the Chris year, but he wins contests. He won March Madness. He was MVP last year.
Yes, I agree. I was fading on Chris. I was fading him. I was dropping him down. But then I was like, this guy is a gamer.
He is.
So upset if he doesn't win, no matter what the contest is. You can't fade him. I mean, he's gonna be top three. He wants to be on the winning team.
But then I already know who's going number 2 overall.
Who's that?
It's Joshua, because you pick Joshua every year as your first retail pick. You've done that every year. And I wouldn't blame you. He was the number 1 scorer in 2019, and he was the number 2 scorer overall in 2020. So Joshua will go number 2 because he's your boy, and you're just going to pick him anyways.
Yes, and he's hot too. I talked to him yesterday. I was trying to get a little inside track. I mean, he's like, yeah, I think, oh yeah, I got like 250 lined up for September. I was like, well, maybe I'll just bump you up a little bit on my rankings.
So Joshua's sandbagging. I should add that to the analysis. I can't even say that word. It's a hard word.
Analysis.
Yeah. So listen to these sales numbers for these four. So Dave, 2.2 million sold so far this year. Chris, 1.9 million. Leslie, 1.8 million, and Joshua, 1.5 million. Joshua's down on volume a little bit, but he does have the second highest close at 42.3%. Leslie has the highest close in the office at 49.8. Shane is in third. I'm sorry, Tim in third with 41.9, and Shane fourth with 41.5. So yeah, they got some killer metrics in there.
Yeah, the thing about it is any of these top four can pour it on at will. It seems like you just never know. It's just every other month, one of them is going to go off for $200,000-$300,000. It's really amazing watching these four duke it out all year, and now the stakes are raised. So we'll see who can, maybe out of those four, maybe somebody will win the MVP. So we'll just have to see. It's going to be a tough one to pick out of those four, though.
It definitely is. And there's a couple of big hitters on the trade side. So Dave and Tim have gone on the first 3 picks overall every year that we've done this. So they may not this year, because there are some new players that have come to play.
Yeah, they're pushing the metrics for sure. Well, so you bring Tim up. I think I've got Tim in tier 2, and that's no slight on Tim. He's taken some time off. But he's come back with a vengeance. I think he's done in last quarter like 650,000 in volume. I mean, he's just been on a tear. He's increased his close. I mean, at that time off, he's really just kind of like recharged the batteries. It's like a new Tim. So I think if that top tier goes first, Tim's a steal of a deal in that tier 2 section. Who else do you have in that tier 2?
Well, of course, Tim, and then Henry, Shane, and George are all having strong years. Now, Tim, I mean, you could almost put Tim in tier 1 because he is number 2 overall in yield, number 3 overall in close. The only knock on Tim, this is fantasy sales team, and you have to get Google reviews. He just doesn't do that, and he was not in the top 6 last year. He's not come to play in fantasy sales team in the past. But if he does what he's been doing in the last 3 months, for the next 3 months, then he will be a top performer.
You know who else in that tier? Who this is very unlike this person. Shane Call. How many Google reviews did Shane Call get last quarter? 0.
0.
He
Not a
used to
one.
be the top guy in Google reviews, and so that's got me a little scared about Shane. I mean, I feel like he can pour it on when he wants to, but I'm looking at that's a big point consideration as a manager is those Google reviews. I'm looking at it, and you look at George. George, he can when he wants to, when he's pushed, but sometimes he's just goose eggs. So as a manager, I'm looking at that consistency that you get. And Henry has been very consistent with self gens and Google reviews, and you kind of see consistency in his close rate and his volume this year. So he's kind of like he's got a high floor. You know what you're going to get. So if you're going for maybe somebody that's a little bit more risky with high reward in your first pick, you might turn around, come get Henry to make sure you have that consistent point flow on your roster there. So Henry's very, very consistent in Q2 or tier 2. I like him in this range here.
Yeah, he was number 6 producer last year in scoring, but he was number 2 in 2019. So he has delivered the scores when it counts. And then you look at Shane. Shane's got one of the strongest close percents in the office, but he loves the competitions. He won March Madness last year, and he gets into these competitions. So I have a feeling he will start to get the Google reviews, especially if his owner's riding him about that. He knows how to do it.
That is true. Because he was on my team last year. Big part of that win. And so I'm not fading Shane. I know he's a gamer. He's gonna come. I mean, he wants to put another tattoo on his back for another championship. So I'm eyeing him. I'm not, listen, some of this I put out here might not, I might want to get him a little bit later. You know what I mean? I might try to detract some of the owners. I mean, Shane, I love you, buddy. Don't worry. I'm coming to get you.
Well, then there's George, who's like chasing the big job all year. And his close percent's not as stellar as some of the others, but he's got one of the best average job size in the office because he loves swinging for the fences, and he's got a huge volume, got a very strong yield, and those are 2 categories that will get you points in fantasy sales team. And when he's pressured into getting reviews, he gets reviews. So
yeah, well, he has swung for the fences this year. There's no doubt about it. George has been a monster. I mean, heck, he landed that $220,000 deal earlier this year. So he is capable of bringing home the big time paydays. So,
and who's won more belts than anybody in the last 4 months?
It's George
and Mr. Nemeth. Sorry, think of it much.
Ninja.
Is that a Charlottesville accent I just used?
I don't. Do they have an accent?
They got an accent. Real country.
I don't know. Well, all right. So let's. What's your tier 3 look like, Jay?
So tier 3, we got the Oilers' last 5. So it's Brett, Chase, Jeff, and then the duo of David and Logan. Now, Brett's probably like, why am I down here? It's like, well, there's 3 slots, so got to put him somewhere. And he doesn't quite have the yield that the others in tier 2 have. He does have a close percent that's right in the mix with those guys. But this is how he ends up as a really, so you're looking for to round out the trio of retail reps. If you can get Brett, you were going to have a solid three, because he is I think he's a little bit better than the rest of the group in there. And you know what happens to people entering their third year?
What's that?
They just seem to get a lot better for some reason.
Yeah.
Brett is going into his third year. This was when Henry went next level. This is when Leslie went next level. So we see people in their third year often just start to figure things out. And if Brett can follow that tradition, then he will be a 50% $6,000 yield producer in September.
Yeah, you took the words out. I was just going to say most improved rep this year, Brett Olson. So he has really turned it on. I mean, he increased his close percent, I think 4% this year, where most people have seen a decline in their close. He's increased. His yield is up, and he might be the most competitive person. I know everybody I talk to, Chris Thomas. You think Chris Thomas is competitive? Chris Thomas says Brett's more competitive than he is. So if you're looking for somebody that wants to compete, this is your guy. He's on the upswing. I think he is a steal in the late rounds. So definitely look out for Brett. But you look at somebody like Chase Thomas too. I took him last year. He was the last pick. I couldn't believe he was there. I was so excited to have him. And this guy is just a Google review machine. I mean, he's got a whole frat behind him taking Google reviews. But he's improved quite a bit. He's won the belt this year twice, I think, right, Jason?
One time.
I mean, he was like second, I think, the other time. So he could definitely get it done in spurts. And don't let those numbers fool you on his close and his yield. I mean, again, he's just in his second year, and he's almost got a $4,000 yield. He's got over 1.2 million in volume. Still learning, but he wants to win, and he's definitely coachable for any owner that takes him. He wants to win. So really excited about Chase in this draft as well.
Yep. He comes back, and yeah, he's going to be a good pick. So if you got a chance to grab Chase to round out your retail team, that's also a solid one, because he's been coming on stronger lately. He didn't have the best first half of the year, but he has started to come on and really put up the numbers, because he didn't win his belt too long ago. And the momentum is certainly in his favor, and he's just about to enter his second year as we begin this contest. So Chase, a good one. And then we've got the rookies, the true rookies, the guys who don't even know what's going on right now with fantasy sales team. And that would be Jeff Avery, who's slowly but surely getting better. And then we've got 13 people, and so we got to fit them into 12 spots. So then we put David and Logan together. These guys are pretty much brand new. They've only had 2 months of selling, so they do have some results, some metrics to judge them on, and they're going together. So that could be interesting, because you get twice the chance for volume. So if they both have a decent month, it could end up being really good.
Yeah.
Because they could end up with $200,000+ of volume. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean the yield and close will be good, but then you have twice the chances for Google reviews, twice the chances for project submissions. So that's going to be an interesting pick, because the new guys you would think would not be, they're like, oh, well, we'll let them go to the 8th round and I'll grab them whatever's left over. But this is going to be an interesting one with these two. And David is coming off a really good month. He actually closed over 40% and had over a $5,000 yield. So that's
I was just gonna say, David Hart is putting in the time. I mean, he is in that showroom all day, all night, learning, calling. He's doing all the right things, and like you said, 45% close. I think that was his second full month out in the field. So definitely downloading everything we're giving him. He's doing great. And Logan, he's coming back from the IR. He started out really hot. And so I think once he gets back in the groove of things, that's going to be a dynamic duo for this tournament. And then, Jeff too, I'm really, with his progress he's made, I've been really impressed with him. He, like you said, slow and steady. he's gotten better and better. So, and definitely coachable, wants to learn. And so I think Jeff is a great pick down here as well.
Yep. I got to do all this behind the scenes work and score everything, but I wish I could participate in the draft. It would be fun
Yeah.
figuring all this stuff out, the strategy that goes into putting together the best fantasy sales team squad for 2021. Are you going to do it again?
Yeah, it's stressful. It's fun, but it is extremely stressful. I go through these things like, well, what if he does that? What if I do this? And then who's going to be left? And so there's lots of calculating going on, but it's extremely fun, and I can't wait for Friday. And it's going to be great.
Michelle, is Carl stressed out all week this week or right now at home?
He's hiding it pretty well.
Okay. The stress is coming. All right. Well, there we go. We got that's the retail sales team draft preview. We got another show coming up later on, which you will see the support squad and the trade team, trying to get Garrett on for the trade analysis. That's such a hard word.
Analysis. All right. Well, we'll see you soon.
Well, we will see you guys soon.